Hello, and welcome to Conversations with Nick Thompson. You may know me from Netflix Love is Blind, but on this podcast, we sit down with guests from all walks of life to hear their story, remove stigmas, and uncover what makes them tick. Our guest today, Linda Steele, is a really incredible human being, and her story is very relatable. I am so excited that she reached out to me on LinkedIn, actually asking if she could come on the show after listening to the podcast. Linda is a personal trainer. She's a wellness advisor, best-selling author of a book called Nerves of Steele, which is awesome play on her last name. And then she's also an international speaker. She is a very successful human, but she's also come from a place of growth. She is very open about how trauma from her younger years has impacted her life and her relationships and her personal situationships, as she calls them, with past partners. But what's really cool about Linda is her self-awareness. She has to not just overcome her trauma, but she has to learn to be comfortable living with it. And when she explains it very relatably, because all of us have come from some form of trauma, we've all been struggling, with our childhood in some way, through school, through family relations, through other relationships that we've had in our life. So we're all dealing with some form of trauma. And I really enjoy the way that Linda speaks about it and the way that she tells her story and how she is very aware of the role that she plays in other people's lives, like her 3 daughters and her clients that she works with on personal training and wellness. And I really am excited to have this conversation with her. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. You're going to learn a little bit about Linda. You're going to learn a little bit about her journey. And we're going to talk about all of the things that helped make her who she is today and the growth that she's had personally, where she started, how she got where she's going, and then, of course, where is she going? So without further ado, let's get right to it. This is Linda Steele, and I am excited to have her on this podcast episode. Hello, everyone. Today, we have a wonderful guest. Her name is Linda Steele. She's a founder and CEO, wellness advisor, international speaker, and best-selling author of the new book, Nerves of Steele. Linda, thank you for coming on. How are you?
I'm doing great, Nick. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. So you actually reached out to me on LinkedIn, and then, which was smart, by the way, because I miss a lot of things that come in on Instagram, but I usually see everything that comes in on LinkedIn. So good call there. Now I'll probably get a whole bunch of LinkedIn messages after saying that, but that's okay. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm glad to have you here. This is going to be a great combo. But before we get into who you are, your story, and what you do, I'd like to ask you a couple small talk questions, starting with, what is your favorite cheat meal?
Ooh, my favorite cheat meal. I'm going to say pizza.
Oh, good one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't even know if I can call pizza a cheat meal. I eat it like once a week. I allow myself like once a week.
You could cheat once a week. When you're in shape, you can cheat once a week. That's okay.
Well, I actually just started this week. I'm not eating dairy, except for one meal a week. And it can either be like a cheeseburger or pizza. And I'll probably alternate those though. So we'll see. So what is your favorite TV show of all time and why?
Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to say there was a series of 3, and it was all on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock, 7:30, and 8. And it was Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, and Three's Company.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
I love Three's Company.
I know. And why? Okay, why? I loved each one. Happy Days had such a wholesome family side, the family, and I can't remember their name right now, but the Cunninghams, was it the Cunninghams?
I watched so much Happy Days, I don't remember anything about it.
So the family side, it was so wholesome, but they still were teenagers and they still did naughty things. And so, they were reprimanded, and the parents were were so good with them, and I just love that part of it. And Three's Company was just silly. I mean, that was
Oh my
just,
gosh. Now
you
that
know,
I remember. I
yeah,
remember like specific episodes about that or from
right.
that
It was
show.
just boys being boys and girls being girls, and it was just real stuff. And Laverne and Shirley, I just loved the camaraderie between the two friends. I just thought that was
Mm,
just so fantastic. So, I think it was fun. It was funny. It was able to bring me away from whatever was going on in my life at the time. And I
yeah,
just look forward to those shows.
that's awesome. So what are you watching right now? Is there anything you're binging or enjoying right now?
Yellowstone,
Okay.
but
Everyone's
that,
watching Yellowstone.
yeah, but that just finished. So I'm waiting for the next season to come out or series to come out. 1923 is kind
How is
of,
that?
it's really good. It's
Yeah.
really good. It's kind of attached to that. And then I'm watching You. Have you seen that?
Okay. So I was just listening to part of my podcast that came out yesterday, and we were talking about you.
Hmm.
Um, so season 1, 2, and 3, yes. I haven't started 4. I was going to start it last night, but I actually embarrassed to say this. I watched the first 2 episodes of Perfect Match, the new like Netflix reality dating show, because Shane is on it from my season, and
Oh,
he's like the only person from the show that I still have a relationship with.
okay.
So I was like, all right, I got to watch and see, even though I know what happens because he told me, but I got to like watch and give him some support. But yeah, I haven't started season 4 yet. Have
Okay.
you started 4?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And is it
Definitely waiting for the next episode to come out. It's
okay?
really, I thought it was fantastic so far.
Penn Badgley, who knew Mr. Gossip Girl himself was
Mhm.
gonna really take this role. And it's interesting because that show was like a Lifetime show before Netflix picked it up. And then Netflix took over. So it had aired before season 1 came on Netflix. It aired like a year earlier. And I'm like, how did this show get like on Lifetime? And it's
Yeah.
so good. It's so addicting. And the way that like you kind of root for him. And this is what I was talking about before. Like, I remember season 1, I binged the whole thing on a trip to Sweden. And first of all, that will mess with your psyche. I don't recommend binging You the whole season. And I just remember I'm like always kind of rooting for him and whoever he's in love with.
I know.
It's
Like I can't explain it myself. I know exactly what you mean. You feel guilty in a weird way, but at the
yes,
same time, like I don't know, you like they justify their behavior, and I
I
don't.
know.
You just like get sucked into it, and you start believing them,
I know.
which kind of
It's
explains why their behavior is the way it is. They start believing their own crap. You know what I mean? It's
well, I
so
mean, the way he would like justify like killing a friend or something, and you're just kind of like, from
yeah.
his perspective, it makes sense.
It's
I love
funny.
that.
Gosh, yeah, yeah. And then I'm watching SEAL Team. That's another good one. And then there's another one, and I can't recall the name of it right now, but it's a detective one, and the guy from Ant-Man, I believe, is or not Ant-Man. He's one of the Marvel characters.
Oh, I don't know that one. I
Oh,
love a
and
good detective.
who is he? He as a matter of fact, he just had I believe a forerunner accident and shattered like the lower half.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, who is that? I remember seeing
It
that.
is
I can't
the
remember who it is. What did you want to be when you were a kid growing up? How did that change? And what do you do now?
That is a great question, and I've heard you ask that on other podcasts, and I wondered, my gosh, what if he asked me that? How would I answer? Because the honest answer, you're going to laugh, was I wanted to be a waitress and I wanted to be a hairdresser, and the reason for that is because my mother would take me to this our favorite restaurant, and I loved the waitress who we had. Her name was Debbie,
Mm-hmm.
and she was just a sweetheart, and I wanted to be Debbie so bad. So my
Oh,
aspiration was that, and when I told my father that, he almost,
oh my gosh.
he was just like, "Are you kidding me?" Um,
What did your parents do?
my dad was he was in accounting, and my mother was in um, like database stuff. So she,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
she just
So
entered.
professional. Yeah.
Mhm. They didn't have a whole, my dad was, he had a nice office with a, corner office with great view and all. But my mom, she just was 9 to 5, whatever she had to do to, make a little bit of money to put groceries in the house. But
Oh yeah.
so they weren't really happy about my choices. But it kind of made me realize when I started thinking about what would my actually answer the question, it made me realize that when I was a kid and trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up, I was really just in survival mode. I wasn't really thinking, college, career. I was in survival mode. And when you read my book, you're going to understand a little bit more why. And so I really just feel like I wasn't looking at future. I was looking at right now. And I didn't see a whole lot of fun, and I didn't see a whole lot of progress happening in order for me to advance to the next level. I felt very
And
stuck.
why was that?
I didn't have the greatest childhood. My childhood by no means was the worst in the world. If you read my book, you will see that it wasn't a horrible childhood, but it wasn't good either. And again,
that's how I describe mine too. My parents did a lot. They were great. They did the best they could, but like it's still interesting. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah. And my dad was fantastic. My stepdad, not so much. My mom was stuck in a situation where she had to, decide to, a roof over my head and in a decent neighborhood or not. And she made a decision and it affected me. Either way, I would have been affected. We all are. But so that's a great question. What do I want to be with? And the answer was, I just wanted to survive. I just wanted to get out of my house. Any way to get out of my house was.
Oh my gosh, that's an awful way to grow up. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Well, it made me who I am today, as we all say. So I don't have regrets, but I have people who I don't like as a result.
Oh, of course. As long it's okay to like not like people, as long as you don't, hold on to resentment and let it live rent free in your mind. That's where I feel like people get stuck sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right about that. And then if you can actually, take it on full force and learn how to live alongside the trauma, that's when your life is good. It's when it's when you start blaming people and you start making bad decisions and you blame. That's when things don't go so well. But if you can actually take it and, just go, okay, it's there. It's always going to be there. I'm just going to work alongside it. And you make something of yourself. Now you have you have everyone to thank for your life.
That's such a good point. And it's something that I've been really, really, really working on lately myself is like, how do I not like revert back to, with some of the things that have happened, revert back to like a version of myself that I've come so far from. And that is like that, to your point, like blaming people, projecting, being irritable, woe is me, victim mentality. It's so much easier to fall into that and make excuses than to like rise above it, to your point, and say, I'm going to live with this. I'm going to be my best self. And this is probably going to contribute to some of that. And it's probably going to take me back sometimes, but you're not going to let it control you.
For sure. And what ends up happening, and this is something that I've been preaching for a very long time, is we can't help but our experiences from when we were children and the trauma, if that's the word that we want to use, that it affects our adult relationships. Because we have feelings of abandonment. We have feelings of where we can't trust. We have feelings of just trying to survive, like I mentioned. And sometimes we have a hard time even enjoying when good things happen because we're waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I hate that feeling. And I fall into that, periodically. And I have to really talk myself out of it and just enjoy the good. Because, okay, maybe the other shoe's going to drop and maybe something bad's going to happen. But what about the good? Right. Can we just enjoy the good while it's here?
That's exactly right. And that's why one of the things that I share with people on my social, but like I do myself, is when I get ready to start my day. And when I say start my day, I start like my work day, whatever that's going to look like. I start by writing down 3 things I'm grateful for from yesterday. And like the gratitude thing, it really just sets the tone for the day. And even when something bad happens or the other shoe drops, you still have something to be grateful for. And
I
I feel
love
like people struggle with that a little bit. I actually, by the time this comes out, I don't know, it'll probably be a couple of weeks, but like I'm releasing a 8 weeks journal that I wrote to help you like reconnect with yourself, because I've had to do that the last few months. Like I've had to do that. And I think when you take the time to connect with yourself and do that, you can operate in the way you're suggesting here as the best way to do it.
I love that. I love that you do, 3 positive things from yesterday. I do that with my kids periodically. I'll just shoot them a random morning text and I'll tell them, give me one win from yesterday. One win.
I love that. How
And
many kids do you have?
I have 3 daughters.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool.
I
What are
have,
their ages?
I have twins who are going to be 28 next month.
Okay.
And then I have a 25-year-old.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. That's an awesome thing to do. I'm going to actually start texting my friends that, I think.
Do that.
Yeah.
They're going to love it. And it's just out of nowhere. And it's not every day. And it might not even be once a week, but it's just randomly. I'll tell them, give me one win from it. And they're like, this is so cool.
I'm going to actually do it right now. We're going to do this in real time. I've got a group chat. It's always shenanigans and stupid stuff. So I'm going to start this right now.
They're going to be like this guy with all the positivity.
They are. They're probably like going to roll their eyes and then do more shenanigans.
That's okay. Sometimes it's the shenanigans that,
all right.
keeps moving.
It's done. We'll check in shortly.
Oh, I can't wait.
So when did you get out of your house, which was your goal? And what did you do? What did your life look like? And how did you go from there? Because that's such a task, right? It's like, okay, I'm out. Now what? Like that was the goal. Now what?
And I had a plan. And I had a plan over the next my adult life in a number of different situations that I got myself into. I had a plan. I went into my counselor's office about sophomore, junior year, and I said, how many more credits do I need to graduate? I need to get out of here early. So, and they were like, damn, okay. So they sat down with my schedule and I graduated high school early. I was out of the house by the time I was 17.
Good for you.
Yep. I had my first apartment. I actually was able to get in before I was 18 or just on my 18th birthday. Prior to that, I lived with somebody so that I could just get out, but I couldn't co-sign. My parents made it very clear, we're not co-signing for anything for you.
Right.
Glad you're getting out. Good for you, but you're going to do it on your own. You want to be on your own? Tough thing. You're going to be on your own. So I did. Got on my own.
Were they actually supportive? Because it sounds like they were a little like almost wanting you to fail.
No, you know what? My mother was supportive. She understood it was time for me to get out. My dad didn't really understand why, because my parents were divorced. So my dad didn't really understand the whole underlying reason, my underlying motivation.
Okay.
So, but he made it clear I could not live with him. And so I was literally on my own. So
why could you not live with him?
He just got married. He had my grandmother living with him and my sister, who was a naughty teenager at the time.
Okay.
And he was just trying to keep her in school and off drugs. I mean, so it was just too much. It was too much to add another human.
Oh, I bet. Did you have a close relationship with your sister or your dad?
My father, very close. He and I was such a daddy's girl. It was not even fun, but I only saw him on the weekends and then like for a week here and there, during holidays and so forth. My sister, no, she bullied me. I felt bullied most of my life with her.
That's awful.
And so I did not feel very safe or secure with her at all. It was always very nervous with her all the time.
I bet.
Is she her objective?
Her what? I'm sorry?
I think that was her objective.
Okay.
To make me
That's
feel
awful.
Yeah. It was very uncomfortable. I did not like that.
Well, that's a projection too, because she was obviously struggling herself and she wanted to make sure that, you felt that you felt poorly about yourself as well. Is she still in your life or?
Nope.
No,
That was one of the toxic situations that I had to get out of probably about 15 years ago.
I completely understand that. I'm
And it
sorry.
sucks too because I being Italian, we're very close to family, blood, everything, and the whole bit. But the problem is, I had to really learn this one lesson in life, and that is, it's a harsh reality. But the reality is, just because they're family, it doesn't make them good.
Hmm.
And I don't like that, but it just happens to be true.
That is so unfortunate, but so true.
Mhm.
And I talk a lot, excuse me, I talk a lot about boundaries
Mhm.
because that's the greatest tool that I learned for my own well being. And I hope that my family doesn't take this the wrong way, but I have said similar things before. I don't have family that I can't talk to or that I don't want to talk to or that are completely toxic to the point that, I have to remove them from my life. But I do have family where I need to have a boundary because otherwise it disrupts my peace. And there's a lot of generational stuff, trauma, whatever you want to call it, in my family that like I had to get out of it. I had to move to the city from the suburbs. I had to limit my exposure. I had to and once I was able to do that, once I stopped going every weekend to see my family, once I stopped attending every family event, no matter what, my sense of calm grew, my sense of angst diminished. And that to me is how I can tell the difference for me is like, even when I'm around them now, sometimes I can feel myself getting in that high strung mindset of reacting and not listening and all this stuff. And that is like detrimental to my well being. So it's hard, right? Like I miss some of the good things,
Oh,
but at the same time, like I'm better version of myself, limiting exposure to people that make me feel that way. And you having
absolutely.
to do that, as painful as it is, I'm sure has really drastically net improved your personal feelings.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I say this all the time. When we are children, we have boundaries. We know that because we know right from wrong. We feel it. We feel when something's
Mm-hmm.
wrong. We
It's
feel
intuitive.
it. But exactly intuitive, but we can't count on adults or other people in our life to respect our boundaries. So over time, we just become conditioned to people overstepping them and treating us
Yes.
poorly. And at some point in life, you never know when it's going to be. It could be in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 70s. Sometime at some point in your life, you finally find your voice. You finally put your foot down and go, that's enough. No
Yes.
more. I am not feeling this way anymore. And I love that I have clients who are in their 70s and they're just now finding their voice in some situations. They're just now
Yeah.
putting their foot down. And the only regret they have is they didn't do it sooner. They never have a regret about it.
Yeah.
But it takes so much courage. It's so scary to do it because you don't want to let go of the good stuff. There's a lot of good that comes with some of these
Yeah.
bad people or people who make you feel bad.
Well, and you're exactly right. And I love the way that you tell that because most people, and this is one thing that I have really, really learned going through this whole like reality experience, getting a lot of followers. And
Mhm.
I was in a bubble. Like I was in a bubble of I have, my core group of friends, I have all this stuff and we're like-minded, right? And there's a lot of people out there that struggle with the basics. And it's so sad and it's so unfortunate because I think I know I struggled with the basics and it took a lot of therapy and a lot of like really like looking myself in the mirror and being like, who are you? Who do
Mhm.
you want to be in this world? And like figuring out my core values and living by them. And it took me, I mean, it's been a couple years, I would say, like maybe 4 or 5 years where I've really been like, this is who I am. Take it or leave it.
Mhm.
If you want to take it, great. I'm going to be one of the most loyal, supportive friends you're ever going to have.
Mhm.
And if you don't want to see that, my intentions are pure and I'm doing the best that I can, then I'm not your people and you're not my people. And I
Right.
literally just posted on Instagram about that right before we hopped on here today to record because I don't think people have the strength to do that. But you have to know who you are to do that.
Yep.
That's the thing. You have
If
to
you
know what you, yes, exactly.
and it's tough because you don't always have the support system that you want. Like I went through these changes.
So yeah, so boundaries are good. A lot of people don't know it, but how did you finally learn like what you were and weren't willing to deal with in your everyday life? Because you were, I mean, survival mode, get out, you're out. Many years later, you stop allowing your sister to bully you. Where did this strength come from? What did you learn? What changed?
So I again, there was actually a relationship that I ended prior to ending the relationship with my sister, and that was my marriage.
Mm,
And again, I had a 5 year plan to get out of it because I was in a situation where I had three little kids. I had a mortgage. I didn't have my college degree completed yet. And I was like, oh my gosh, where am I going? I don't have enough money. I'm a stay at home mom.
yeah,
How am I going to manage this? And so I had a 5 year plan to get out of that marriage and to be
that's
able to
so. Just a 5 year plan to get out of a marriage. Was
5 years.
it?
Oh my gosh. And I knew it was going to be 5 years because I had to have my newborn in kindergarten in order to be able to make ends. I knew I
Of
wasn't going to be able
course.
to afford daycare. So I knew it was going to be a 5 year plan until that little girl was in kindergarten. And that's how
Oh
I knew.
gosh.
I literally wrote down my 5 year plan, and it was, it started with that. So um,
You
I,
don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but was it like just not working or was it toxic, unhealthy?
um, it was just a little bit everything.
Okay.
We married very young. We did not have the tools at the time to deal with the adult things like mortgages, children.
Mm-hmm.
We both were having so much fun in our lives when we got married, and he didn't realize that that had to stop. So he
Yeah.
continued on acting like a 22-year-old,
Oh
whereas
my
I
gosh.
was a mom, and my instincts told me don't do that anymore. He worked his butt off. He brought money into the house. He made it so that I can stay home with my kids. God bless him.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that about him. But you know that saying, work hard, play hard?
Yeah.
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 That was exactly what was going on. And he played hard, and there were not any changes that he was willing to make. And so I just couldn't, I knew it wasn't working for me. My little girls were noticing that this was going on. And I thought to myself,
Oh
oh my
man.
God, they're going to wind up with somebody who treats them just like this, as disrespectful, because this is all they know. This is what they see. It was my job to change that. It was my job to make them see that is not right and there are consequences. And
Right. Good for
so,
you.
yeah, I was just like, my job is to teach them. That's my sole purpose in life, is to teach my kids in every aspect. So,
That's so good to hear. And also just I'm sorry that happened because that sounds just I mean, I can't imagine staying 5 years unhappy. I mean,
oh,
I just can't. And like working towards that plan and having to do it literally on your own. But the motivation of you wanting to show your women how they should be treated, your young women how they should be treated and how they should treat people is that's kind of an inspiring way to look at it.
yeah, yeah. And then, when I became, when I did that, and that was a big part of what, made me grow. You start walking a little taller, you start feeling empowered, you start,
Mm-hmm.
then you start looking at other aspects of your life and you're like, hold on, this is wrong too. I don't like the way she treats me. That's it.
Yep.
I'm going to teach my daughters again,
Snowball.
or whoever's watching. Uh, you're the only one in control of your life. You're the only one in control of how people are going to treat you. At the end of the day, we are 100% in control. Even, unfortunately, it's going to mean saying goodbye,
Yeah.
because you can't actually make somebody treat you well, but you can say, you're not going to treat me like that because you're not going to be in my life anymore.
Right. And that's their loss, right? And they'll find someone else if they don't want to, be introspective, they'll find somebody else that they can go and treat poorly. And it's unfortunate, but I feel like people or from what I hear from people whenever I talk about boundaries or someone messages me, and these are people, friends too, but like more so like social media people, they always say to me, but it's so hard because I don't like want to upset person X. And that, yes, I get that. But what about the upsetting they're doing to you? Do
It's
you
me.
think they're thinking about that?
Not at all. I always look
Yeah.
at it like it's me or them. And quite frankly, when somebody starts affecting you where the BS starts consuming you during the day on a regular day, that's not good. That's
Hmm.
not good. And you know when
Yeah.
that's consuming you because you think about it when you wake up in the morning. You think about it when you're in the shower. You laugh and you're having a good time and then you think about it again.
The
That's when you
dread.
know
Yeah.
it's time. That's
Yeah.
when you know.
So self-care, like I always say too, like if I feel like this is just me spouting off all these things I always say at this point, but like if you're not taking care of yourself, no one is. Like if you're
Oh,
not putting yourself first, no one is. And that I think is such a powerful statement because it's true. Like no one else is going to put you first. They're all putting themselves first. So you putting someone else, first or their needs first when it's hurting you, like that's
it's
like a double whammy.
It is, and I saw that, and I don't know if I saw that on your Instagram or if I saw it on one of your podcasts, but I saw that you said that, and it goes along with I did a speaking event at the Best You in Long Beach a few years back, and my whole 45-minute talk was about taking care of yourself so that you could be more valuable to others.
Yes. That's
Because you're
so
not,
true. That's exactly it.
right? If you don't put yourself first, both physically and mentally, if you don't take care of that, what can you possibly do to help everybody around you who needs you? You're not,
You
you're like,
can't.
you're given like 40% because you're just beaten down. You
Yeah.
have to take
This
care of
is That's exactly the message I share with like people that I coach. I say like, if you don't do the work here, if you don't take care of, if you don't connect with yourself, you can't connect with others. And in order for you to connect with yourself, you have to know like what you are and are not comfortable with, what you can and cannot deal with, what you will and will not put up with, who you want to be, and when conflict comes. And this is where like knowing your values matters, right? When conflict comes and you act within your character, then you don't give as much, you don't lose as much, and you can sleep at night and it doesn't plague your brain because like you were just being you in that conflict.
right.
And again, people like they struggle with I think so many people just struggle with that. But if you don't connect with yourself continuously, building that connection, you will never be able to connect healthy with other people.
You're so right. And I know a lot of us, it's our natural instinct to want to help.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that we can't help, but you have to schedule yourself first. You have to schedule them second. For instance, this morning I knew that I looked at my schedule and I knew that I was going to have an evening where I had to get a few things done.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked at my schedule. I had no intentions of working out this morning. But when I looked at my schedule at 7 o'clock this morning, I realized that the only time I was going to get a workout in was going to be between 8 and 10. So I did it. And that was not my intention going to
This
sleep.
morning,
Yeah, that was not
good
my
for you.
Thank you. My intention was, I'll get it in at some point. And then I looked at my schedule and said, no, I'm not.
No,
And
you're not.
so, you just have to you have to schedule time for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's the only way that it works. So I try to look at my schedule at the beginning of the week to decide when I'm going to do stuff. I actually put on my schedule workout, just
Mm-hmm.
like I do hair appointment or dentist appointment or annual exam. Just like I do those things, I put workout in my schedule. And that's how I know I'm going to come first because it's scheduled and I'm going to stick to it.
I think that's brilliant. I think more and more people should be making lists, booking their time in their schedule. Another thing I always, push my I hate saying clients, but push my clients to do is like schedule a 15-minute walk regularly in your schedule, whether it's at work, whether it's your personal one, whatever it is, and go take a walk. If it's
Yep.
cold outside, like it is in Chicago these days, walk around your living room, just
Mm-hmm.
pace
Mm-hmm.
and get your body. Like you have to do these things. Otherwise, there's always something more to do. There's
There's,
always something more to do.
there's one person in charge of you, and that's you. That's
Yes,
it.
I love that. So what is it? So you do some wellness advising too. What's your process? What do you help people with?
Everything. My gosh, it's so funny. So I have clients. I'm a personal trainer by day, and I have, clients hour by hour, which means a different personality and in a different person, different shapes, different sizes, men, women. I train everybody, different ages. My age ranges from 12 up to 82 years old.
Holy cow.
So I get a lot of different personalities during the day. And what's great, well, I don't know if it's great, but what's unique is that even though I might have the same person 3 times a week, a different person is going to walk in on their hour, because I don't know what kind of day they're having. I don't know if they just had a fight with their spouse, if their kid just, got a ding on their car and now they have that to deal with. I don't know
Yeah.
if, they had to put their dog down. Like, there are really big things that go on in people's lives. So you never know even though you know who's walking in the door, you don't really know who's walking in the door. So I have to be prepared at the beginning of every hour of anything that's going to come my way. So I might think we're going to do, shoulders and back today, but really what we're going to do is we're going to sit in my office and I'm going to watch them cry, and I'm going to, try to, make them feel better with whatever situation they're dealing with. Sometimes we could work out on the floor and have this little chit chat too, but sometimes people just don't have it in them. You just don't know. So I do the best I can giving advice on things. Most of the time I just listen because I'm not a licensed therapist, but
I was going to say, you might have to moonlight and get your licensed therapist degree so you can do this at the same time.
I'm thinking you might be right. And Lord knows I've had enough practice, because I've been doing this for about 19 years and my schedule's been full ever since I started. So I literally have seen so many things. And I just either listen or I give the best advice based on other experiences, my experiences, other clients' experiences. And so I can deal with, like I said, I just mentioned some of the things that I could deal with as they're walking in the door. Mm-hmm. I just do the best I can. I have a client who was suicidal for years.
Oh my gosh.
And I never knew if I was saying the right thing. And I almost thought saying nothing, she was under good care. She was on meds and she was in, the care of a psychiatrist and so forth. So she was on all the right stuff, but still, you almost wish you just didn't say anything. But I asked her once, please be honest with me. I don't know and she says, no, you're doing great. You're doing great. Yeah. So again, we don't know, because nobody comes with a manual. We don't know what's going to make them tick. We don't know. We just do the best we can. Yeah. So what do? It's different. It's different with every person, because I get so many different things coming my way.
I bet. I love that you say it's doing the best that you can. And I try to take that approach too. Like, I know I'm doing the best I can. I don't always say the right things. I'm not always right. I'm wrong a lot. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of times that I'm right, but I'm doing the best I can. And if everyone's doing the best they can, show some grace to people. But
absolutely,
I feel like I've never been in a conversation maybe quite as extensive as that one is, but I do know, and I have to work at this, because I want to fix, right? I want to give advice. I want to fix, but sometimes it's just that open ear. It's that active listening. It's acknowledging that they feel that way. Mm-hmm. And not saying, something like, oh, you have so much going for, like, let me tell you, so since the last 6 months, I've been divorced. I lost my job. It just like, it was awful. Like, I had a horrible end to the year. It was supposed to be the best year of my life, and it was horrible. And, everyone kept just saying, oh, you got a lot going for you, or you'll get another job. You'll meet the right person. It's like, no, like, I'm experiencing a lot of loss and a lot of grief. Like, I don't want to hear that. Mm-hmm. And I think people too think, just because in a sense too, they saw like my relationship on TV, that it's like not real or something, which is not true. Like, it's real. I still grieve it. I still miss it. I still sometimes wish things were different. And people just, they just want to like check the box. I don't even know if that's the right way. They just want to like say something so that they feel like they've done something for you, instead of just listening and acknowledging.
Do you know what seems to be the most popular answer when somebody comes to me and they have this stuff? I try to respond with, wow, that sounds so frustrating. Or Damn, yeah, I could see where you're upset about that. Like, I just validate their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's all people want. They want to be validated. And
Yeah.
and we're so, you know, we're just so used to doing what you say people do to you. Oh, but let's all check off all the good things you have going on. Well, I know all those good things, but
Yeah.
this is a bad thing. So that's not going to, it's not like they counteract. It's not like you could check the box good in the good column and the bad column and go, oh,
Yeah.
well, at the end of the day, I'm just about even. So let's just move on. No, you're going to grieve a divorce. You're going to
Right.
grieve the loss of a job. My gosh, that's so scary.
It's one of the top 5 things like psychologists say is a top 5 traumatic event. Both of those: divorce, loss, or death, divorce, loss of job. I forget the other ones, but yeah, they're traumatizing events and they really impact people. And when they all happen at once, like they did for me, I just wanted someone to be like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry you're suffering. That must be really hard. Like you said.
I have a friend right now. He lost his job a few years back. He actually quit his job, and I believe it was he was maybe getting forced out, but he was able to quit.
Gotcha.
And he's a brilliant man, and he's been on a number of interviews, and he's struggling to get a job again. And every time he says, "Oh my gosh, I have an interview with this place," I'm like, "Oh my gosh, good luck, good luck." I'm like rooting for him.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't work out, I'm crushed for him because I know he's just crushed. And as friends and family, you feel what these people are feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know what to say. And he winds up being more positive than I am. He's like, well, he says something positive each time, and I know that can't possibly be how he's really, really feeling. He's just trying to talk himself up, and God bless him for that, because that's a really tough situation to be in. Very tough.
It is, and it's so cold. Like I've been writing a little bit about this on LinkedIn lately, but there's such a coldness to companies, like when they're done with you. Like it's all warm and wooing you or taking you or giving you these benefits when you work there, and then the second they're done with you, or here's our wonderful application process and our interviews, and and then it's like, here's your email saying that you're not the right fit. And
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is. I don't know, but it's hard because it impacts people's psyche. And especially if you're, interviewing, and you're just like, and maybe it's a numbers game, but you're just getting those rejections. It's good for him for staying positive, but like you can't ignore the impacts that's probably having on him.
Yeah.
Like
It's
behind every application is an energized, hopeful, excited human.
mhm,
And that's what I think we forget about in this instance.
mhm. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So your book, Nerves of Steel, which is like the coolest name, play on words on your name. Such an honestly, I was like, God, that's so clever. So what is your book's a memoir?
Mhm,
Tell us a little bit about what's in your book and what you explore. I know you talk mental health in
mhm.
there, wellness, your story, and how it's all wrapped up. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your book?
My book is it's about childhood trauma and how it affects your adult relationships. And so again, I tell my story. I tell my story about when I was a little girl and how it impacted my years and the relationships that I wound up in as a result, maybe. And
And when
then
you say relationships, do you mean like partners, or do you just mean like the one with your sister and the friends you chose and all of that?
I'm going to say with my partners, my romantic
Okay.
relationships. And then when I got myself into these situations, I like to call them situationships. When I got myself into these situationships, I I was able to manage getting out of them. And the way I did it was I was able to get my self-worth back up.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that by starting a workout routine. I started eating clean, and it made me think clearly, and it helped me make some really good hard decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt confident making them. It just took me a little while because of the situation that I was in due to the relationships that I wound up in. So,
Well, even being bullied, like that kills confidence, that messes
oh,
with your brain. It changes the chemical functions in your brain too.
it
Sorry, but
absolutely does. It sure does. And so when you start, it just so happens when you start to get your body into a balance, that's when the chemicals in your brain start to balance out. That's when the hormones in your body start to balance out. And again, you start running like a top and you start
mhm,
really being able to think clearly and make these good decisions, these hard decisions. And so that's how I tell people how I got out of the situations that I
right.
got myself into. And I wound up having a couple really common, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? I wound up having some pretty common results from my relationship or from my childhood, which was again feelings of abandonment
Yeah.
and not being able to trust. And I what I did at the end of my book, you're going to see that I tried to take a look within and realize that I was partially responsible for some of the situations that
Yes.
I ended up in. I never.
That that is so true.
Mhm.
And acknowledging your role in it, whether it's I allowed this to happen, that is so key. That one of my biggest takeaways as I was rounding out my year last year, trying to figure out how to put myself back together in 2023, was I was like, I kind of what I was saying earlier with my family. I'm like, I allowed my self worth to be taken from me.
Mhm.
I allowed my confidence to be taken from me. I allowed my calm to be taken from me.
Yeah.
I allowed it. And I think you having that realization too, it's like, so it's so relatable to me and how I'm approaching things and looking at things now, but that's so hard because you
It
got to
is.
stop being a victim.
I literally would joke and say, when my relationships weren't working out, I would joke and say, well, I'm beginning to think it's me, but that's impossible. And then I was like, no, it might actually.
It's like the Taylor Swift song, It's Me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
Exactly. She was before her time. She didn't even know it. Oh,
Exactly.
man. Yeah. So
So,
took a look within and I started making some changes myself.
and what would you recommend to someone who's maybe relating to being in a situationship or a struggling marriage or looking at, because I actually hear from a lot of people, again, like I get a lot of DMs every day, and I hear from people if they're like, I'm doing this for the kids, or I'm staying in this for my kids, or I'm trying to get away from this for my kids. Like, where would someone start if they realize they needed to make these changes?
Honestly, I would start by working out and eating clean. And I know that sounds so ridiculous, but I'm telling you, that is the root of thinking clearly, having self-confidence and getting your groove back. And once
Yeah.
you have that self-confidence and you start making these really hard decisions and you see that like there's a little light at the end of the tunnel and you can see it's so empowering. When you start
Yeah.
getting back the control in your life, it is so empowering. And just remember all of the people watching. If you have kids, they're watching you.
Hmm.
I was making some decisions even as of 2 years ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, and I didn't realize it, but my kids were still watching. They're 28 and 25 and they're still watching me.
Yeah.
And when I realized it, I'm like, oh shit, I better do this right. They're
Right.
so,
That's a good point.
you
That's a
know,
really good point.
and if it's not your kids, it's your friends. If it's not your friends, it's your coworkers.
Hmm.
Everybody has somebody who is looking up to you.
Hmm.
Every one of us has somebody who admires you.
It's so hard for people to see that, and I mean, I'm sure it's hard for you too. You just noticed it a year ago. It's hard for me too, but I love that. I love that. You think about the people that you're inspiring. This is what's this is what like keeps me going, because sometimes I'm like, honestly, even with this, like, this podcast is expensive. I don't have a professional job. I'm starting my own business right now. I'm like, every time I'm like, maybe I need to pause the podcast and get focused on something else. And then I get a note from someone that's like, hey, this episode really helped me, or hey, your podcast really helped me talk to my parents about politics or whatever. And it's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like I am doing it. Or when someone's like, hey, your little self-care tips are helping more people than you know. Because those aren't, I don't want to say I write them because they just come to me, but like these things, like they take time, they take energy, they take willpower, they take, writing a caption, all of this stuff. Like I don't have anyone doing any of that for me. But it's like someone somewhere is looking up to you or you are helping them.
You said
And
something
they're watching.
in one of your podcasts just recently, and it was.
First of all, thank you for listening too. Like you've referenced so many of them. I
Yeah, and
appreciate
I actually do listen. I really do listen. You referenced, used a great analogy, and it was something like, and it was a book or something that you read or somebody read. And it was talking about a little boy on the beach throwing in like starfish or something back into the ocean. And a man came up to the little boy and said, well, you're not going to be able to save them all. And he picked another one up and threw it in and said, well, I saved that one.
Yes. I forget who that was with.
That.
Yeah.
Loved
well,
that.
that's my, I find, and this isn't necessarily healthy, but like I get a lot of value by helping other people. Like that's how I feel good about myself. And that's also how I look at it. It's like, if I can, comment to one person and make their day a little bit better, or if someone recognizes me and wants a photo, like, does this bother? No, it doesn't bother me. It's like I can make someone's day just by taking a photo with them. Like imagine being able to do that. But guess what? You can in a different way.
Yeah.
You just got to believe in yourself and put yourself out there and be authentic, be yourself. So great. Are there any questions that you want to ask me?
I have so many.
Let's go lightning round.
I'm going to go with a couple simple ones. I know you're from Chicago, born and raised.
I was born and raised in the suburbs, like Schaumburg, Rolling Meadows is where I went to high school, where my kind of home base was. But we moved around the suburbs a lot as a kid. But I moved to Chicago proper in 2014, and I don't know if I'm ever leaving. I even joke now, I'm like, I don't even ever leave Division Street. Like all the restaurants, bars, shops, stores, everything you need.
Why would you leave? It's so great over there. So then that leads to my next question, which is, which do you prefer, thin crust pizza or deep dish?
Ooh, it depends. I love them both.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
Like people think that you have to have one or the other. No, you don't. You can love both.
Yes. And I'm gluten-free. I've been gluten-free for like 10, 11 years now. And there's a place here, Chicago's Pizza, that they make their own dough. So you can get any kind of pizza you want.
I kind of feel like a lot of places are doing that now. They're offering gluten-free. They
are, which is great. But a lot of them kind of like pre-buy it or buy it from a local bakery or something. So they can't, so it's like pre-formed and stuff. But here they make it. So you can do deep dish stuff, thin crust. It depends on the mood. I love them both. I can't pick. I can tell you I don't love New York pizza. I've talked about that before. New York people get very upset. But your pizza is cardboard ketchup and cheese.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Chicago is the best pizza ever. I don't even want to have the argument. There's no sense in arguing about it.
No,
you're not going to
none whatsoever.
Agreed. So my next question is, and this might be a little personal. What were your parents like growing up? Were they strict or were they pretty lenient with you?
That's a really good question. So my parents were divorced. They divorced when I was 5. I would say yes, they were strict. So I went to a Catholic school from second grade all the way to 8th grade. And the Catholic values were very prominent, right? Rules, stuff like that. I didn't drink until I was 21.
Oh my.
I was terrified of anything like talking about sex, anything, even mental health and stuff, like anything outside of God and church was scary. So some of that I think was self-imposed, but I do know, like, if I would have been caught drinking, like my mom probably would have beat the crap out of me.
No kidding. Your parents are pretty strict. Yeah. It's funny. I have a line in my book that talks about the Catholic guilt. and how the Italians took that to an art form. Like it's like
Oh my gosh, I know. I've seen it.
it's so awful.
And it never goes away.
No, it doesn't.
It's crazy. Like I have it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why do I feel like guilty right now? I'm going to have to check out your book too. Cause I mean, I had no clue really until you reached out to me, but it sounds very relatable. It sounds really relatable.
You'll be able to draw parallels. I feel like it applies to a lot of people. Anytime that anybody asks me, even if it's a stranger off the street, asks me about my book, and I say, the minute I start with, it's about childhood trauma and how it affects your adult relationships, they go, "Oh my gosh, why didn't you interview me for the book?" Like everybody, some kind of childhood trauma. And I laugh at it. I shouldn't laugh about it like that. But it just, you almost have to. Like, we all have it. We all have, and it doesn't always have to come from our childhood. It could sometimes be, in our adult years too.
Oh, yeah.
I know you have to go, so we can cut that.
No. Do you have any other questions? Could do another one or two.
I don't like the question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? But one of the things that you mentioned was that you love helping people. So this is my question. Do you think that you are going to be making a career out of helping people in the future?
I 100% have that as my plan. I want to, so I've recently I got certified as a personal coach. I've been trying to coach people on connections with themselves so that they can, show up authentically in the world. I think I'm uniquely in a position where I can do that now while I work towards some other things, even like writing the 8-week journal that I mentioned earlier. I'm just trying to find ways to literally help people. And it's always been something that's been, instilled in me. And to go back to being Catholic, right? I still live by the golden rule, which is do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Agreed.
And, along with Gandhi's, be the change you wish to see in the world. And so for me, it's like, no matter what happens to me, like I find value in making someone else's day or life a little bit better. So I hope to find ways to monetize it so I don't lose my condo, come homeless, and need the help myself. But I do focus on that. And I do see that as a huge part of my future.
Good, because you're good at it. And I think that's a great choice.
I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. I really do. Cool. So, Linda, where can people find you?
You could find me on nervesofsteel.net. I also have a website, lindasteelewellness.com. I'm on Instagram as Linda Steele Wellness. I'm on LinkedIn, Linda Steele Wellness. A lot of it is Linda Steele Wellness. YouTube, Linda Steele Wellness.
Perfect. And we'll have all of those links in the description. And I suggest you give Linda a follow and check out the book.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Conversations with Nick Thompson. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to follow us and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Links can be found in the description below, and we can't wait to see you next time.